Welcome to the Sassy Successionist, the podcast where we explore the intersection of wealth management, succession planning, and the human stories behind generational wealth. I'm your host, Uyai, and today we're diving into an extraordinary case study that combines celebrity, tragedy, and remarkable business acumen. The Notorious BIG, also known as Biggie Smalls or Christopher Wallace, remains one of hip-hop's most influential figures nearly 3 decades after his tragic death at just 24. Biggie does not need an introduction to most people. His music career was relatively short but had an outsized impact on American rap and hip-hop. 2 albums, one posthumously, led to 4 Grammy nominations and a host of other awards. But what happened to his estate and his legacy after his passing? The answer lies in the determined efforts of one amazing woman, his mother, Voletta Wallace. On today's episode, we'll explore how a former teacher with no background in the music industry has protected and grown her son's legacy for his children and future generations. There are really powerful lessons here for family offices, but also individuals thinking about their own succession planning. Join me for episode 1. Before we talk money and legacy, I want to tell you about Voletta Wallace. Born in Jamaica, Voletta immigrated to the U.S. in the 1960s, where she became a preschool teacher in Brooklyn. She raised Biggie as a single mom. When he was murdered in 1997, everything changed for Voletta. She was still so young. Despite what must have been devastating grief, she suddenly needed to manage her son's affairs and ensure that his 2 children would be provided for. She had no background in entertainment law, intellectual property, or asset management. When a wealthy individual passes unexpectedly, it often creates a perfect storm of legal, financial, and administrative challenges. I often think about how overwhelmed Voletta must have felt. First, there was the matter of the estate. Like many young artists, especially in the 1990s, Biggie likely did not have comprehensive estate planning in place. This meant mom had to navigate probate court, untangle whatever his contracts looked like, and identify what he actually owned, from royalty streams to personal property. Second, there was the continued interest in Biggie's music to think about. His final album, Life After Death, was released just 16 days after his murder and debuted at number 1 on the charts. This created immediate revenue streams that needed management, despite her grief. Third, there were the 2 children to consider. Biggie had 2 very young kids. Ensuring their financial security while protecting them from exploitation became Voletta's priority. For our listeners in the family office management space or considering their own succession planning, these challenges highlight why preparation matters when possible. Even with modest estates, having clear documentation and plans can save tremendous heartache for family members during already difficult times. Next, we'll talk about how she built his legacy. What happened next demonstrates Voletta's business acumen. Y'all know Jamaican aunties don't mess around. Rather than simply managing existing assets, she actively built a business around her son's legacy. It must have been incredibly difficult for her, but she pushed ahead in her grief regardless. In 1997, shortly after Biggie's death, Voletta established Biggie Smalls' estate, and then she founded Notorious BIG LLC to manage her son's business affairs. This corporate structure allowed for more strategic management of his IP and licensing opportunities that came her way. One of her smartest moves, in my opinion, was taking control of Biggie's image rights and master recordings. This meant that any use of Biggie's likeness or music would require approval from her and proper compensation. In the entertainment industry, these rights are often where the real long-term value lies. In true Jamaican auntie fashion, Voletta wasn't afraid to defend these rights in court when necessary. In her heyday, she filed lawsuits against unauthorized merchandisers and even took on major entities that attempted to exploit Biggie's image without proper compensation. This vigilance ensured that his estate, and not opportunistic third parties, would benefit from Biggie's cultural impact. For family offices, there's an important lesson here about identifying and protecting IP where applicable. Whether it's a family business brand, patents, or creative assets, these intangible assets often represent significant value that requires active protection. Something else Voletta did right? She walked in community. From my research, she was really selective about who she worked with, but she didn't isolate herself. She formed key alliances with industry professionals who shared her vision for Biggie's legacy. One example is her collaboration with music executive Faith Newman, who had originally signed Biggie to his record deal. This relationship helped navigate the complex world of music publishing and royalty management. Later on in 2013, Voletta partnered with Mark Pitts to launch Notorious Records, creating a new platform for both preserving Biggie's catalog and developing new artists. This move transformed the estate from a passive royalty collector to an active participant in the music industry. For wealth managers and family offices, this approach illustrates the value of strategic alliance building. No single person can be an expert in everything, but identifying partners with complementary expertise can increase the effectiveness of legacy management. For example, family offices typically have a legal team or a family lawyer. They might have an accountant. They definitely have a wealth management team. That seems to be the one commonality among all family offices. And some of the ones I worked with have brought me on for governance and to help with succession planning. So you really do need a team. Next, we'll talk about how Voletta was able to diversify and grow the assets in Biggie's portfolio. What truly sets Voletta Wallace apart is how she diversified the estate's income streams beyond just music royalties. This strategy has created sustainable growth that continues to benefit Biggie's children and will likely extend to future generations. That's the very definition of what a family office is supposed to do. The estate has licensed Biggie's image and music for documentaries, including the 2021 Netflix release, I Got a Story to Tell, which Voletta executive produced. There have been things as far apart as biodramas, merch partnerships, even a clothing line called Notorious. In 2022, the estate partnered with the Swiss luxury watchmaker Audemars Piguet for a limited edition Royal Oak watch honoring Biggie's legacy. If that isn't brand partnership, I don't know what is. This move into luxury goods demonstrated sophisticated brand positioning that few estates achieve, even for some of the biggest artists. In March 2023, Facebook, yes, that Facebook, announced a VR concert featuring a hyper-realistic avatar of Biggie performing in a recreation of 1990s Brooklyn. This venture into emerging technology shows how forward-thinking the estate management led by Voletta has been. But perhaps most importantly, Voletta Wallace has always managed the estate with clear values and principles. This wasn't just about maximizing revenue. It was about ensuring Biggie's artistic legacy was respected and that his children would benefit from his work. In 1999, she established the Christopher Wallace Memorial Foundation, which provides educational opportunities to youth in Bedford-Stuyvesant, Brooklyn, where Biggie grew up. The foundation has awarded numerous scholarships and supported educational initiatives in underserved communities. Through this philanthropic work, Voletta ensured that Biggie's legacy includes giving back to the community that shaped him. This values-based approach has enhanced the Notorious BIG brand while creating positive social impact. She has also been pretty selective about which commercial opportunities to pursue, turning down some deals that might have been lucrative but didn't align with how she wanted her son remembered. This very principled approach has maintained the authenticity and respected status of Biggie's legacy. For family offices and individuals planning their estates, this highlights the importance of articulating values and principles that should guide decisions after you're gone. Documenting these wishes can be just as important as the legal structures you put in place. Today, Biggie's children are adults who have become actively involved in managing their father's legacy. This successful transition to the next generation is perhaps the clearest testament to Voletta's effective management. CJ Wallace, Biggie's son, has launched several business ventures that honor his father while establishing his own identity. Biggie's daughter also opened a clothing store in honor of her father in 2019. Voletta facilitated this generational transition by involving Biggie's children in business decisions as they grew older. Rather than merely preserving their inheritance or just throwing their money in a trust fund, she prepared them to actively manage and grow it. This approach embodies best practices in family wealth management, not just transferring assets, not just keeping them somewhere to grow, but also passing along knowledge, passing along values, passing along capabilities. The story of Voletta Wallace teaches us that effective legacy planning isn't just about legal documents and financial structures. Those are really important, but that's not really all there is. It's also about active management, guided by clear family values and a vision that extends long beyond a single generation. I've known about the Biggie and Voletta story for a while. Sadly, in February 2025, the world lost an icon in Voletta Wallace. Her passing marked the end of an extraordinary chapter in legacy management. From a grieving mother who was a school teacher with no background in entertainment or business, she transformed into a formidable protector and builder of her son's legacy. The empire she built continues to thrive under the stewardship of Biggie's children, and this was no mistake. She did it intentionally. Although I'm sure they will always miss and grieve their father and their grandmother, Voletta has set the children up incredibly well and has reportedly grown Biggie's estate from $10 million to approximately $160 million in 3 decades. For our listeners, whether you're managing family wealth, running a family office, or simply thinking about your own estate planning, there's tremendous wisdom in Voletta's approach. Legacy isn't something that happens by accident. It requires intention, strategy, and active management every day, every year. Whether you're facing an unexpected transition like Voletta did, or you're proactively planning for the future, I hope you'll keep these succession principles in mind. If you'd like to learn more about my approach to legacy planning, schedule a confidential consultation, or see how I can work with your family, I'll share some resources in the show notes. I'd be honored to work with your family to build a legacy that truly matters. Thank you for listening to today's episode of the Sassy Successionist. Please subscribe, leave a review. Join us next time as we continue exploring the human stories behind meaningful wealth management. Until then, the most valuable inheritance isn't measured in dollars, it's measured in impact. This has been the Sassy Successionist. I'm Oyai. I'll talk to you next time.